I mean, what do you want me to say? I can't express enough just how impossible this would have been to predict. Truthfully, one of the most outlandish, holy crap performances I've ever seen in my entire life as a basketball fan. 56 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, shooting 19 for 28% from the field, 3 for 8 from 3, and 15 for 18 from the free throw line, giving Jimmy a 78% true shooting percentage in a 56-point performance in which the Miami Heat went up 3-1 versus the Milwaukee Bucks. I cannot... What is there to say? First of all, I think I've given up entirely on making predictions, or at the very least carrying them with any level of weight. I've started to realize at a certain point, just because some people put a ton of value into whatever the hell I say for some reason, and people get mad about it or whatever, just because they choose to take it super seriously doesn't mean that I have to. 90% of the time that I'm upset that I gotta take wrong, it's because I'm annoyed with the fact that I'm gonna have a bunch of people yelling at me that I told you so. But I'm choosing to be positive here and just simply enjoy maybe the greatest playoff performance that I've ever witnessed. At a certain point in this game, I started rooting for the Miami Heat, knowing full well that them going up 3-1 would be quite contradictory to what I said about this series going into it, and especially after game 1. I'm going to be talking about the Bucks in a main channel video tomorrow. Dramatic reactions or over-the-top reactions to game 1s of every series. And my reaction for game 1 when the Miami Heat won was, ironically, them winning. It was exactly why I thought they would lose this series. I think we can chalk that up to being a bad take. I don't think anyone would really argue with that. It's a pretty horrid take. It did not age well whatsoever, because the moment I said that, the Bucks won a game like that day or the day after, and then Miami's won these two, and yeah. To talk more about this performance, I mean, I did say in my reaction to game 1 that Jimmy Butler, when Jimmy Butler is doing the God stuff that he does, when it's just like, oh, randomly Jimmy Butler went from someone who in the regular season is like maybe the 15th best player in the league to like, wow, this guy's playing as good as any basketball player has ever played. And that's not really an exaggeration to say. About like 56 points on 78% true shooting in the NBA playoffs in a series that you're heavily favored against the defense that's considered one of the best, if not the best in the league. We are guarded by Drew Holiday, who's one of the best guard defenders of all time, with Giannis and Brook Lopez waiting for you in the paint. This is one of the best playoff performances there has ever been. And I don't know what else there is to say after that. As for Milwaukee, you know, I obviously have criticisms. There's obviously things they've done wrong here. But truthfully, at the end of the day, I think the big area where I went wrong was I just didn't think highly enough of the Miami Heat. Now, I'm not going to get too mad at myself because there were a lot, and I mean a lot, of signs that the Heat would not be good. I fully acknowledge the possibility of a postseason rise as they've done before. But I truly expected this team to look a lot more like the 2021 Heat that got swept by the Bucks, rather than the team that was a Jimmy Butler 3 away from making the NBA Finals. So I clearly underestimated this team in assuming the worst for them. To be fair, their bench unit was nothing for them this season, and it's been everything for them in the playoffs. I mean, obviously Jimmy Butler's the thing here, but they've gotten contributions from players off of their bench, and that has definitely helped them. It was less this game, but more the series at large, but definitely this game. Shout out to Duncan Robinson, by the way, because he hit 3 3-pointers in this one, got 30 minutes of action. I thought that Duncan Robinson got kind of an unfair shake of the stick here with how his career had gone. I felt like Eric Spoelstra was a little too quick to just write him off as being a rotation player, and lo and behold, he's in the rotation. And actually, when Jimmy Butler went out initially, when he had like 20-something points in the first quarter, Reggie Miller was rightfully like, all right, where's your offense coming from here? And then Duncan Robinson immediately hit 2 threes, and like Jimmy Butler was in the game soon after that because it's the playoffs. And, you know, those kind of shots are very, very pivotal. those minor moments, those in-between moments where your star player isn't going to be able to carry you, you need to hit shots. You need to have in this case, like the 13th man manage to step up at moments, but like someone off of the bench. And I truly didn't think anyone in Miami would do that. And every game, someone, if not multiple players, have done exactly that. So another area where I was just completely wrong. But ultimately, I stand here just appreciative of one of the greatest basketball performances I have ever seen. I do think that defense has been less the issue for Milwaukee and more offense. Obviously, I mean, you gave up 56, which if you didn't know, it's not a good amount of points to give up. But I'd say as a team, the Bucks were fine defensively. Obviously, Jimmy did what Jimmy did, but everything else was fine. And Jimmy was hitting difficult shots. It's not as though these were not defended. Maybe you could have argued they could have done a better job not fouling him. But other than that, like, he hit threes, you know, and they got contests on them. He hit a bunch of mid-range shots, and like maybe 2 or 3 of them didn't have a hand up. You know, like, it was a good defensive performance, all things considered. And yet this happened. Like, I cannot express enough how ridiculous his performance is. I really hope people truly appreciate that. I don't know for sure that they will, just because NBA fans move on so quickly. But like, seriously, the elevation that Jimmy Butler has in the playoffs is unprecedented. He might be truly like the GOAT in that area. I don't know that I've ever seen a player elevate their play to the degree that Jimmy is. Because right now, if you look at his series average, he's averaging like 36 points a game over these 4 games. What do you know? Just Jesus. Like, that's Michael Jordan in the 93 finals numbers. Better than that, even, because he's doing it more efficiently. And also, Jimmy Butler was playing defense in this game. Like, all the time. Like, every possession he was trying. Yeah, this video is just going to end up being 10 minutes of me being perplexed, but you know what? Damn it, there's nothing else to say. But offensively, I've lost track of all of my points here, but offensively was where the Bucks were questionable. I say they were good the first 3 quarters. In the fourth quarter, they kind of choked, and Jimmy Butler just took full advantage of that. Giannis had a 26-point triple-double, and you can't really be mad at him for that. Brook Lopez came in with 36 points, but Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday both awful in this one. The inconsistency of both of those players was a huge area of concern that I had for them in this one. 6 for 19 for Drew Holiday, 4 for 12 for Chris Middleton, who also fouled out. It's just, you also got 8 points from Grayson Allen in 33 minutes while he was a defensive liability. That I don't love his place in this rotation. Bobby Portis only ends up playing 12 minutes because he was playing poorly and getting played off of the floor. Suddenly, the depth argument has completely flipped on its head in this one. And with how good Jimmy Butler has been playing, I don't even know that you have the superstar argument as much. Like, obviously, you have Giannis, and Giannis will play at a superstar level. But, like, good Lord, Jimmy Butler is playing better than Giannis in this series. He just is. So what do you do with that? I don't, it's possible Milwaukee's like been asleep this whole time and they can just flip a switch and come back 3-1. But truthfully, I don't think that's going to happen. I think this is going to be one of the biggest upsets in the history of basketball. If you look at their record, I believe it's a difference of like 20-something games. The Milwaukee Bucks finished with a 58-win record, the Heat with a 44, so it's a 14-point game difference. That's not as significant, but Milwaukee was heavily favored for this postseason. I picked Milwaukee to go all the way, and not only did I pick that, I picked only the Celtics to be a team that would really bother them more likely than not. And yet here they are down 3-1, and I do think they were asleep to a good extent, but also I do think Miami was just so damn good. And if I was a Milwaukee Bucks fan, yeah, I'd be upset with the Bucks. But I'd probably be more upset with the universe for the absurdity that has transpired to actually transpire. Speaking of how people care about the shit that I say, which I find to be pretty dumb. One thing that I said very offhand that I saw quoted multiple times in the comments on my Cavs video, talking about this game and not the Cavs stuff, obviously. They were like, you said, what I said was I expected the Heat to be like the Bulls in the playoffs when they played the Bucks last year, which is they'd win a game, look pretty good, maybe look good for another game as the Bulls did in game 1 versus the Bucks, and then just get gobsmacked. I said that pretty offhand in reference to the Bulls being bad. So when a bunch of people were like, haha, the Heat were actually good, the Bulls just suck. I know that was the point. I was trying to say the Heat suck like the Bulls. They don't. I was wrong about that. But like the trying to like rub it in that the Bulls sucked that year or that they suck now. I know. Like, yeah, that was the point. It was just silly to me, so I thought I'd bring it up. But anyways, that is it. Shout out to Rudy for editing this video, and goodbye.